Welcome to this episode of Stacks and Stories, the podcast of the Mississippi Library Commission. Join Charlie, Zach, JD, and Russell as they play a round of Would You Rather with their reading habits and preferences. Would you rather secretly love a book everyone else hated, or secretly hate a book that everyone else loved? Stay tuned to find out.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Stacks and Stories. My name is Charlie. Y'all have heard me say this before. Usually I'm behind the computer, which I am today, and I'm also asking some questions. Today I'm joined with three co-workers. If we could start with the person to my right, will you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Zach Burton. I'm the cataloging librarian here at MLC.
Awesome.
My name is JD Burns. I am in our Talking Book Services department, and I am our Patron Services Supervisor.
Nice.
I'm Russell Hawkins. I am the Technology Planning Coordinator.
Awesome. And today we are doing a part 2 of a recent episode we did of Would You Rather Bookish Edition. We have some new guests and new questions. I'm going to give y'all a question. Basically, you have to choose two options. There may be more. And sometimes both answers are terrible. You have to choose the less terrible of the two. So to get started, let's go with something easy. This was what I asked last time. Would you rather read hardback, paperback, ebook, or audio?
I think paperback any day because, I don't know, I really like a hardback book. Like, I like how they look on a shelf. I like how they feel. But I hate if I'm sitting in bed and I'm reading a big hardback tome and I'm getting sleepy and then I'm dropping it on my face or, I don't know, I just feel like with a paperback, I love being able, this might be controversial, I love being able to like bend a spine and kind of fold a book and make it more easy to hold. So definitely paperback for me.
I'm really more of an audiobook person, usually because I want to be able to listen to something while I'm doing other things. But there are certain times where I'm always going to go with a paperback. And just to throw a curveball, I read a lot of comics, and those are mostly in paperback, I guess, form. A comic is a comic a paperback? I don't know. Is a graphic novel a paperback? But I do enjoy a paperback just for its mobility. You can read it, if you're a passenger in a car. Not that you can't read a hardback, but it's just so much easier to keep up with.
I prefer audiobooks, just mainly because I'm dyslexic and it is a chore to sit down and actually read the words. But so I prefer audiobooks, but I like having hardback copies of the audiobooks that I've really enjoyed, just so I can look at them and remember, oh yeah, that scene was so awesome,
Yeah. From a collector's standpoint, I definitely understand.
Yeah.
And that's how I am. It's nice having, they're like little trophies that you can put on the shelf.
Yes, I completed that.
Yeah.
It's a good one for like the stand.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's this big.
Yeah.
I don't know, for me, I always hope my bookshelf will be a conversation starter with guests. Yeah. It never has been, but that's like the hope, right? You put these books you've read and you can talk about them, but no one asks.
All right. This is another kind of easy question. Would you rather only be able to read indoors or only outdoors?
Oh, man, I love reading outdoors, but I would hate to be stuck reading outdoors in the dead of summer or the dead of winter.
I don't really read outdoors to begin with. I'm doing the majority of my reading indoors. Sometimes I will, take a book out on the porch and, enjoy the end of the day by reading a little bit, but no, I'm mostly reading indoors.
Yeah, indoors, all the way.
Indoors, okay. This kind of piggybacks off of that. So we said indoors for the majority. Would you rather read in an isolated cabin that's infested with spiders or in a noisy coffee shop with bad music playing?
I hate spiders. So I'll take the noisy coffee shop. Yeah, I think I'd rather deal with that than bad music and noisy people and the sound of a coffee shop over spiders. Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm going to have to agree with that because while I can tune out, bad music and noisy people, I can tune that out. I can't tune out creepy crawly.
Unfortunately, I think it will be the same for me. While I do get easily distracted when I'm reading in public, I could not read a book with spiders crawling around me.
Nope.
Because then it's not necessarily just them crawling on you; it's the thought.
Exactly.
yeah.
That they
Yeah,
could
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right
they don't
there.
have to ever actually touch me.
Yeah.
But you'll have the same reactions, like, "Oh, I'm starting to get itchy."
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather secretly love a book everyone hates, or secretly hate a book everyone else loves?
I feel like I have been in both of these camps, and neither were a secret. I think I prefer disliking a book other people love. Because I think I get disappointed when I really like a book and other people don't like it. So I prefer to just, instead of that loss of connection, I prefer to be a hater.
Yeah, as a natural contrarian, I am always happy to dislike something that other people really enjoy. It is a fulfilling part of my life that I try and engage with every day, finding something that other people love and just completely not enjoy it. But I will also say that I have really enjoyed some things that in conversation with others, I've kind of felt like, oh, you guys are reading, this deep philosophy and these incredible classics that, are just renowned throughout the ages. And I read something about monsters.
Yeah, I totally have to go with that because if it was that I loved a book that everybody else hated, then the rest of my life would be spending. You're gonna read this book and you're gonna love it. You don't have a choice. You have to love it because it is that good.
Yeah.
So I'd rather hate one that everybody else loved because then I can just blow it off.
Yeah. All right. So this one, I want you to imagine your favorite. They're making a movie out of your favorite work. Now, would you rather your favorite character get cut from the movie adaptation, or have your least favorite actor play that part?
I've actually had this happen multiple times. They've made and remade some of my favorite characters, or they've made and remade some of my favorite works and changed characters, chosen actors that I didn't have any faith in. What are the options again? To have the
So either they're going to cut your favorite character from the film, or they're going to have your least favorite actor play that character.
Oh, I guess I'd rather have them just cut the character completely.
Yeah, this is a tough question, and it can be topical because I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and there's this Lord of the Rings show out right now, and they announced for any other Lord of the Rings fans that in the next season they're casting someone as Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
And
Really?
yeah, and I'm a big Tom Bombadil fan. One of my favorite parts of the series wasn't in any of the other adaptations, but I'm afraid that adapting it might be worse than cutting it. So I think I'm gonna have to go with. I would prefer it to be cut.
Have they made any announcement of who might be cast for it?
Yeah, they may have. Christina is nodding her head that they have. I don't know who it is off the top of my head, but
I was a little horrified. I don't know if that was going to work.
yeah.
Well, going back to comic books, comic books have been all the rage over the past decade.
Oh yeah.
And the butchering of storylines
Yeah.
that end up on screen. which is all fine. We've all gotten used to it at this point as comic fans, as just being alternative universes of our favorite storylines.
Sure.
You know, Secret Wars, Batman. You have 15 Batmen, and they all live in their own universe. But as supporting characters, yeah, I'm so used to them just not appearing. That's what I would go with.
Yeah. I really don't have a strong opinion either way, because I can see both sides of that. If I had to choose one, I would probably say I would rather see the character cut, because I'm already going to be disappointed, because it's never going to be as good as it is in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm already going to be disappointed. So just a little bit more disappointed it would be, cutting it, as opposed to having a horrible actor play it. And, yeah. I would much rather just not see it.
Because I think it gets into that point where once you see, for me, once I see it on the screen, that too I imagine whenever I'm rereading it.
Exactly.
And I really don't want to associate it with.
Well, I'm kind of dealing with that right now, because my favorite comic series of all time, or one of them, is Hellboy. And they've restarted that series three times now with 3 different lead actors.
Yep.
And the first set of movies had a great actor in the lead role, and some of the supporting cast had been changed, which was fine. The middle movie cut out a lot of supporting cast and also had a not great actor. I didn't think he was great in the lead role, but I don't really care about actors. The new guy doesn't look great, and I also have no frame of reference for any of his other work, but I'll give him a shot. At least it's there. So
Yeah.
All right. So this question, would you rather read a book where there are a couple of random pages missing throughout the book? Sounds terrible to me. Or would you rather read a book where the author doesn't know the difference between there, and there? Including their editors doesn't know the difference.
On the one hand, I think all of our brains collectively have been so disrupted by text speak that we could get through
Yep.
a there, and there situation. But then on the other hand, I would engage in the just sheer absurdity of reading a book that's missing pages. I think that would be a very fun, activity to give a go.
Yeah. The missing pages thing, I think it would be fun specifically if someone had removed important pages. The key plot point removed from the book, and you get to just try to figure out afterwards.
It's almost like one of those choose your own ending.
Yeah. I think that there would drive me absolutely insane, but I also agree with JD that I could still get through it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was actually reading a book I really enjoyed and then plot points were removed or key moments were missing, I would not be thrilled.
Well, since we collectively, because I know you do enjoy some audiobooks, what if instead of, if we were listening to an audiobook, it would be difficult to tell that the author didn't know the difference? But what if the narrator hesitated every time they So you have this, the narration is just kind of rolling along, and it gets to
he has to discern the exact way to say this there.
It breaks the narration. Part of me, now that I think I would say no, because then I would be
distracted,
constantly distracted by
reader,
listening to this person.
Yeah.
So
I would have to say, for me, having the missing pages would be the worst. I would have to choose the there, just because I've got to know the story. And if there's parts that are missing, then I'll obsess about it, and it'll ruin the rest of the book because I won't be able to figure it out.
I have a caveat I just thought about because I love a mystery. If I'm reading this story and I don't know pages have been taken out, I may enjoy it.
Yeah.
If I'm
Now, that would be
reading-
different.
If I'm reading it and I think it's a completed text, but there's missing bits and I don't know that, and if they're removed in a way that makes it a mystery, maybe then it is interesting.
So in that line of thinking, do you keep up with page numbers?
I don't know.
Because what if, as you're reading along, you don't know you're missing, but the page numbers
Start jumping.
would tell you?
Yeah, like if that was going on, I think I would know I was.
You would notice.
Yeah. Unless it was, it was like this is a misprint or something. But I feel like if you're reading a text and you don't know what the complete text is, and if it's like these pages are removed in a careful enough way where like you don't know there's a sudden shift in like narrative space or whatever. I don't know. I think it could be interesting.
I have read the Christopher Paolini's the Aragon series, and or I forgot what the actual name of the series was, but Aragon was the first book. Anyway, in the second book, there was a problem when I downloaded it from Audible because at that time that was before they didn't stream the download. It was you downloaded it in pieces, and some of the pieces got jumbled up, and so at the beginning of the book, it starts off normal, and then it jumps to like a climactic scene, and for like 20 or 30 minutes, and then it jumps back to like that hasn't happened yet. And a person that dies during this scene is like alive and talking here. And it took me a while to figure out, okay, is he flashing forward? Is he having like visions? What's going on? But yeah, that was a nightmare to try to get through.
Also talking about that and going back to comics, comics will do the thing where if you're reading, so like I will read big long runs of like if a specific writer writes a character book for say 100 issues, oftentimes that character will still show up in other story arcs. So Thor will be in an X-Men crossover or something.
Yeah.
But the events of this other book that aren't included will be referenced. So you'll be reading along and it's like, oh, Thor has a red jacket on in this one. What happened? And you'll see a little note that says, see X-Men 97 or whatever. And so that's something where, as the reader, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, now before I read any further of this,
I got
to go get that one. And then, well, now I can't start at that issue. I got to read from the beginning of that. And I'm constantly spiderwebbing off into other things.
Yeah, I do the same thing with, usually it's with short stories within the same universe.
Yeah.
That'll get referenced in the main story. And so then I have to stop and I have to go find that short story.
Yeah.
But it also, it's kind of a neat feeling when you've read that short story and then it gets referenced and you're like, oh, they're talking about it.
Yeah.
You're in the know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually leads into this next question, because that's kind of like to me like a completionist type personality,
Yes.
which I'm very much like. Who's it? Sue Grafton has the alphabet book series where it's like A is for whatever. It's like murder mysteries, I think. And she died when she got to like X.
Why?
Oh, no.
Why?
Why?
And so I'm not going to read it because
There is no Z.
there is no.
I was talking to a patron about that literally yesterday, and she was asking about that series and asking me if she was dead, if she was going to write any more books. Why hadn't she written any more books? And I had to tell her, well, unfortunately, she has passed away.
Yes. So, since we all seem to have a little completionist in us, would you rather read a series as they come out or wait until all the books have been published to binge them?
I wait. I wait.
I learned Game of Thrones taught me to wait. I will never invest myself in a big book series again. No offense to Mr. Martin. Honestly, I don't even want him to finish the books at these points. He should just be allowed to rest. Okay. So yeah, I prefer to wait till they're all out.
I have to agree. If I had to make the choice then I would wait for them to all be out. I am currently sitting on like 6 or 7 series that I'm waiting for the next book to come out.
I will go one step further. I will not actually even purchase a book. I'm so bad about my kind of completionist thing is that I will buy the entire series at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I have no idea if I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I won't buy book one if I can't buy at least the follow-up and possibly even the follow-up to that. That's something, again, going back to comics, is that I'll wait until there's a graphic novel or a compendium or an omnibus and just buy the whole thing at once.
In talking about comics, this is, Game of Thrones aside, I think that's an issue I have too with reading as it comes out, because, like, for instance, like a decade ago, I think Brian K. Vaughan started publishing Saga.
Mm-hmm.
And when he first started publishing it, I think I got like the first trade. And then a year later, the second trade came out. And I was like, all right, well, let me reread this first trade to remember what's going on. And the next year, the third trade comes out. And the next thing I know, I've read the first trade paperback 5 times.
You've read the second one.
I've read the second one 4 times. Yeah, exactly. And then it's still coming out, and I just gave up because I was like, I can't keep reminding myself what this story is.
Yeah.
Because I'm just burning out on the same parts over and over.
Yeah. That's how I like with like TV shows too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like anytime a new season comes out, if it's like a mystery or something like Only Murders in the Building or something, I feel like I need to go back because there's going to be like references that they're going to do. And I want all the callbacks.
Yeah. I feel like a YouTube video of like catching you up, recaps.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I lost my place. All right. Would you rather read only one book in a year and remember everything about it, all the details, or be able to read 100 books and remember nothing?
One book and all the details.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine any other way.
I think that's the preferred, but I will say I have definitely had years where I've read a lot and don't remember.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
I already don't remember.
I don't remember a lot of what I read already after a certain amount of time.
I will go back and say it depends on the book. Like if it was Pride and Prejudice, then I would rather read it and forget it than read it and have to remember that
For a
rest of my life.
year.
And also, if you can read 100 books but not remember anything in a year, you just start over with the same 100 the following year.
Right. Never have to buy another book.
I don't know. Yeah.
I saw that question and I was thinking about when we were having our book clubs, and usually I think it was Alex, whenever she was talking about her books, it was always just vibes. It was a good time. And I feel like that's what this is kind of getting to.
I mean, I kind of get that because, there are books I read that I will really enjoy, but, like, I might not know all the characters' names, or know, like, the locations they're in. Like, I will know all of the important points, but I won't totally know the fine details.
And I already reread certain things.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that I will only ever read one time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But then there are certain things that I will reread every few years, and so I don't know. Maybe I am the 100 books.
So since y'all like series and standalone novels, would y'all rather have a series abruptly stop on a terrible cliffhanger, or have your favorite author switch to a genre you hate?
Favorite author switch to a genre I hate. Yeah, as stated earlier, I won't even start a series if it's not already finished.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't be able to handle that.
the big cliffhanger is fine. If my favorite authors switch, then that's okay. I just won't read any of that.
Yeah, I think I would prefer that because I feel like I've experienced the other plenty of times, whether it's I feel like more so in television, though, maybe than books, but so often watching a new series that is canceled before the plot is resolved, and I can't think of many instances where I've read an author who has a drastic genre change and I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
I would
irrelevant.
at least go and try it out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to
Yeah.
see.
Even if it's something that I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
So
I
they
would
went
still go and try it out.
Well, I know when I was younger, Anne Rice, I was reading the Vampire Chronicles, that whole series, and then she abruptly switched to
Witches.
Christian romance.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, you were
Witches.
that was after the witches.
Yeah, I guess not a big. Well, the romance part was always present, but the religious part kind of changed.
Yeah.
So I've never read any of those books by her, but I don't know.
I had completely forgot about Anne Rice
Yeah.
until this moment.
So this will be our last question. And this one, if you're married, think about it as your spouse, or if you're single, think about it as someone you'd be dating. Would you rather be with someone who must explain the golden era of the Russian fiction every time you introduce them to somebody?
That was my friend Zach.
Let me tell you guys about Tolstoy.
Or they start every conversation with, all this happened more or less?
I think that second one is so funny. I think that is such a funny thing to say at the beginning of a conversation that I just have to go with that.
I feel like it'd be funny at first, but at a certain point,
Oh, I mean, it would be insufferable after like
Yeah.
a day's worth, but
Yeah.
I feel like anytime you would see that around a new person,
yeah.
like you bring this friend to somebody who's never met them, and then every time your friends talk, and they're, what was the exact line?
All this happened more or less.
Yeah, I just think, I don't know, that sounds like a character in a book walking around
Yeah.
and be saying
Yeah.
that to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like the absurdity of explaining the golden era.
I mean, that is also
That's-
pretty funny.
You know, I kind of feel like I would introduce my wife and be like, "This is my wife. She's an artist. We have cats. We have children. Let her tell you about Russian literature." Just such a.
That's what I'm going with,
such
because
a
I can
left turn.
totally see my wife doing that.
Yeah.
I want both.
You
I
want-
want both of these happening.
Honestly, I want them to approach a new person and say, "All this happened more or less."
and then tell about
Nothing else.
Russian literature. Tolstoy was, or maybe he wasn't.
more or less.
Well, awesome. Thank y'all for joining us, and thank y'all for the opinions that y'all shared with us on these hot topics.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. Yeah.
Had a blast.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Stacks and Stories, the podcast of the Mississippi Library Commission. We hope you will tune in next time, and we encourage you to visit your local public library often.